Let's just rip the Band-Aid off.
Dale is ready. He is like beyond.
Dale's been ready. We've all really been ready, honestly.
.com/GameBytes
Let's
show.
just do it and be legends.
Be legend.
We're gonna live forever, you guys.
That sounds like a Destiny tagline.
The Game Bytes Show podcast. We still have his thumbnail, but that's all right. It doesn't matter.
Legrand Jolly. Thanks.
That's right. I should have actually been Legrand Jolly. Yeah, I'm gonna totally do that.
That's okay. I like it. It's okay. I'm all about it.
America is his middle name.
I'm gonna change it. Legrand Jolly.
It's fine. Leave it.
No. I got it.
I don't know what you're doing. I can't see it.
There you go. You'll see it. It'll just take a minute.
Updates.
That's right. Okay.
Jolly.
Here we go. And then
I'm just gonna turn off my video and then return it back on.
Hey, you know what you guys got to do though is Legrand, you got to take that URL and you got to plug it into Discord because I can't switch off of the current screen or everyone's gonna see.
I'm not on. I'm on the freaking
my bare naked
studio
Discord
bullshit. The other. Okay, I got it. I'm on.
Okay, and I'm gonna go to.
Refresh.
I'm gonna go to Twitter, and we're gonna tweet this thing. Oh, I'm still recording. I got 6 minutes and a half of gold.
I'm probably also recording.
Yeah, you better
I'm gonna
double check
post it
that.
on.
Okay.
Discord here.
Our live stream is live. Jeremy is doing the things, so we're crashing
Extra
and burning.
Mechanical keyboard clicks. Okay. Posted it.
God.
It says the freaking Knights Guild.
And man, I know it does. That's okay. That's okay.
So dumb. I could always hit the X button on the preview and it wouldn't look so dumb. That's okay. Nobody cares. Dale especially does not give a shit about anything. It's okay.
I just want to talk about games.
Yeah, let's do that. How about that? I am recording. And it's looking pretty good. I'm closer to my mic today. It's going to feel nice and saucy today.
Nice.
All for Jeremy's pleasure, because I know he listens to this like 4 times as he edits it.
I sure do. It's good every time.
This is Jeremy's background music while he's reading up on theology texts.
That's kind of it. It's too saucy though. It's very distracting. Pay no attention.
All right,
to the
ready
thumbnail.
to do our little thing that we do. That means clap.
Yep.
Ready? Okay.
Ready when you
1,
are.
2, 3. You guys weren't ready. Did you guys
I
even
was.
clap?
Yeah, I totally did. You just didn't
Did
hear
it
because
peg
we were
out?
so. We were.
I heard
so-
mine, but I didn't hear either of yours. That
I
must
didn't hear
be
either of
some
your
new-
guys' either.
That
I
must be
think
some
in
new
Discord's
weird tech.
Mine is
Discord's doing some like weird stuff.
mine is a bright
Noise
red line.
suppression powered by Crisp with a P and a
Oh,
K.
yeah. Crisp
Where's
crinkle.
Crisp?
I don't know, dude. You can turn it off if you want to hear Dale's keyboard clacks. Then we can do that.
I think it's
Yeah, where do you turn that off?
Jared mostly.
Was it Jared
Oh,
clacking?
it's super Jared. And I
Does
like.
he have a mechanical keyboard?
He's got he's got like rocks that he's got on some kind of like cookie tray, and he just like shuffles them around for. And like last time, I decided I'd go a little bit more quickly instead of methodically, and the first thing I get. Thank you to Gillespie in our Discord for pointing out that it sounds like rocks on a cookie tray because I just like went a little faster than usual. But yeah, it'll be nice and quiet today.
Whenever I type something, I always announce like, "Oh, I'm going to look that up."
Yeah, and then it kind of makes it's almost like a radio drama, right? Like it's like, oh, this is the sweetness.
This is what we're doing.
Should I turn on crisp noise suppression?
Mine is on.
Just
I
don't
have it off.
I hear it. Look, don't do anything. Like everybody, just don't touch anything because we're working for now. So.
No, Jeremy, I've already flipped 6 or 7
Oh
different
my
settings
gosh.
switches just for fun.
I think we'll be okay.
And he's going to open up Steam just to ruin everything.
I've already got Steam open. I can open up Epic.
No, don't touch
good.
it.
Oh, good. I got Epic open as well. I've only got Epic open, actually.
I'm not running the Bethesda launcher at the moment, but I can add that to the stack.
How many dumb launchers I have? Like my PC. Okay, we're going to start our podcast.
Okay.
And then we can have bullshit rants if we want to. Okay.
Okay.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Game by Show podcast. It is Sunday, September the 12th, 2021. Welcome to the show. Come one, come all, join us for an evening of splendor here at the Game by Show podcast. Hello, my name is Legrand Jolly, and with me today, Jeremy Lawman.
Hey, everybody. We have Splendor tonight. It's our first time Go gently with
Indeed.
us.
And Dale Count Elmdor Jones. Hello, Dale.
Welcome to the Circus of Values.
Oh man, that is a great
Dude.
reference.
Yes, I need to play me some freaking. You know what we could use is a new Bioshock game that's not as weird as Bioshock Infinite. How about that?
It's funny you should say that because I was actually just thinking recently that I'd like to go back to Bioshock Infinite and try it out again.
Did you ever finish it?
I did. I
You
totally
played
did.
it with
Yep.
the motion
the
controls.
Move controller on PlayStation 3. That's right.
That
sure
game
did.
really did the trick for me. I know a lot of people were either
It was
underwhelmed
fine.
or they were mad at it for
Oh
some reason.
no
but
no 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 no! Remember
thought
I
it was
liked
great.
it.
there was about
It was
a
just weird.
there was
I
about
liked the other ones better.
there was about a 2 or 3 week period where we were all like, remember we were talking about like the Lutesses and flipping the coin and like how did Rapture figure into
doesn't
this?
row.
Like, yeah, exactly. And like it wasn't the coin flip that was different. It was like there was all kinds of stuff, and we were all about it for like 2 weeks, and then it was the worst thing ever.
It's not the worst thing ever. Bioshock 1 and 2 are just better.
My
I like
favorite
the
actually
stories
is
in Bioshock 1 and 2.
Bioshock 2 is my favorite.
2 is
I
really
like
good.
Bioshock 2. I like Bioshock
I think
2
I think
a
a
lot.
lot of people skipped it for one reason or another, but 2 is really good.
Yeah, it is
People
really good.
complained about it. Like the internet people who controlled, I mean, back then everyone relied on gaming reviews, right? And it didn't review very well for whatever
Yeah.
dumb reason. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, well, here we are to
The
rewrite
part when
history.
you play as the little sister, dude, that was so good.
That was way
Yeah,
good.
when's the next Bioshock game coming out?
We need it.
How about never?
We need it now.
We do need it. It would be sweet. I'd be all about it.
Ken Levine, where are you? Actually, nobody knows. I hope he's okay.
Narrative Legos.
Yeah.
That's an impossible Sisyphean task, and he's gonna just bail out at some point.
He's wherever Peter Molyneux is. Ken Levine and Peter Molyneux sharing a martini
They're
together.
both trapped
Maybe
in the
they
center
maybe
of the
they
cube.
bought an estate together over there in England.
You know
and,
what?
like,
They're in the
yo.
Phantom Zone, like spinning through space in 2 dimensions.
They're in the beach from Death Stranding.
Yeah, they're digging to the center of the Earth, 1 block at a time.
Speaking of Death Stranding, guys, I played some more Death Stranding, and by more I mean
All of it,
a lot more.
really.
I'm probably
Less-
25 hours into that game at this point, close to 30, maybe closer
So
to 30.
you're an expert on domestic logistics and parcel services now. So
Yeah,
can
I'm
you
so good
explain
at
to
it.
me why my FedEx package was like 3 days late?
Well, you see, there was a time fall. Okay,
Giant upside down whales came out of the oil.
and you didn't have enough ceramics to finish your auto paver to build a road. So it just took longer to get there. You know what I mean? He had to.
Okay.
Your FedEx driver probably had to.
Well, how come
got the-
UPS can do a faster job?
Well, because UPS can travel to the beaches and they can bring stuff with them.
They don't let those guys breathe at all, so they never have to.
Yeah.
No one can see them.
Yeah, I was considering writing down things that I wanted to say about Death Stranding today on the podcast, and I didn't end up doing it because I didn't know what to write about Death Stranding. There's games where this game does something really interesting, which you feel this sometimes when you play. Like early on in the game, you're hiking around the world, and you're finding like lost cargo that other porters have dropped or something, and you can pick it up and take it to its destination and earn likes, which is the currency of this game.
Nice.
And basically early on in the game you're doing that because you're like, oh, this is cool, I'm getting all these things, and later on, like, I'm to the point now where it don't matter. I don't need that minuscule amount of likes. It's like on Cookie Clicker, you're playing Cookie Clicker, and pretty soon you're like, I don't need to buy that lower tier thing anymore because it just doesn't give me the value.
It's just
that I
not worth
need,
your
or I don't need to
time.
run
Yeah.
this order and transport this to there because it's not going to give me what I need to actually progress or see meaningful progression at this stage of the game. You know what I mean? And that's kind of where I'm at with this game, and that's fine because it's really cool because it layers on mechanics in the game, and it layers on, like, to the point where ladders at the beginning were crucial, and having those freaking ropes that you could put down and climb down mountains with, and the ladders were such an important thing that you always had a couple of ladders on your backpack in case you need to cross a river or whatever, right? And I'm to the point now where I just don't even need to carry them around because I'm driving vehicles on highways that I've built, and it doesn't matter. That stuff is just old mechanics that don't really affect me anymore because I'm not hiking around, I'm driving around.
And that's fun. Like that's a good progression.
Yeah, it's awesome because it basically right when you feel like the game had worn out its welcome as far as just hiking around this long, hiking for kilometers, because the game actually measures the amount of distance that you're traveling. And when that's kind of starting to slow down and you're kind of starting to feel the fatigue of doing that, it's like suddenly, yeah, you don't need to do that anymore. Oh, and now suddenly, yeah, you're sick of driving around on this motorcycle through the dirt and the barren and over rocks, and it's really just rugged and tough terrain. Well, now you're to the point where you can actually just build roads, and now you're just driving from point A to point B. Of course, when you get to new areas, there's sometimes when you have to progress that far and actually invest the resources to building those roads. And so maybe the first time you get to an area, you actually have to hike in there yourself, or at least drive a vehicle through that rugged place. But I spent an hour today just hitting all of the distribution points in the game, getting all of their excess resources, and just building me a mega highway that just spanned across the entire map. Nice. And so now if I need to go anywhere, I can just drive, and it's awesome. And the thing is that allows the game to kind of ditch the mechanics, and maybe not ditch, but the progression of the game is to the point where I just don't need to do that old stuff that's old and tired at this point. It's all just new and fresh continually, which is fantastic.
That's cool.
I have weapons now. Bad guys are shooting me with bullets, which is a thing. Like mules actually have guns now, and so I have to fight them. But if I kill them, here's the crazy part, Dale. If I kill the people in Death Stranding verse land,
right.
if somebody dies, eventually their spirit from their body meets afterlife version of them or something, and it causes what's called a void out, which means that the body basically explodes and
it's
then
like a giant
everything
explosion.
with it.
Yeah, like a big nuclear one.
So there's people that work for the Bridges company that are basically corpse disposal people, and their job is to get these bodies and take them to incinerators and burn them so that this can't happen. So if
then it never happens.
Well, if you murder dudes, you have to. The world is very careful, and there's not a tons of people around. So when people do die, call the Bridges so they can get their corpse disposal unit out and dispose of the corpse before they blow up half the city, right? And so if you murder dudes, you have to get their corpses out. Like it tells you don't kill people, because you kill people, it's going to cause more BTs, which are the Death Stranding ghosts and stuff like that. But I'm still cruising along in the game, just kind of making my way through the story. I'm well past halfway mark at this point, I believe, at 25 plus hours, which this game's pretty big, and I'm not even doing everything. Some of the cool unlockable stuff is tied to increasing your reputation with a given character in the game, and so there's the engineer is a guy that you take stuff to, and there's a junk dealer, and as you increase your reputation with them by doing deliveries for them, you increase your rep, which then they give you bonuses and new items and new things to use, which kind of just expands on the utility that you can the things that you can do throughout the game, which is awesome.
Right.
So I don't really focus on that. I'm not, but when I do get it, if I do come across a huge delivery that's going to give me an insane amount of that reputation or the likes or whatever, I do it because I feel like it's worthwhile. They have big crossover stuff in this game too. I just want to mention that Horizon Zero Dawn has big crossover stuff going on. Steam in general. I have a valve that I can stick on the back of my head, like the Half-Life 2 guy, and it's all cosmetic stuff.
So these are new for the PC version then?
Sure. I don't know. Idea.
I wasn't aware of any crossover stuff before.
Yeah, and so maybe they added it since you played. You played it right when it came out, I believe, right?
Yeah, it was a while ago. Yeah.
So people will send me emails like, "Hey, can you find my companion cube? I left it in this location." And you go there and you find a portal companion cube and take it back to the guy, and he's like, "Hey, thanks a lot. Here is a random cosmetic that's linked to Valve." So I have gravity gloves, bro, from Half-Life Alyx, so I can get within 15 meters of a package on the ground and suck it to my hand.
It adds
any
function.
items, stuff like that.
That's cool.
So that's kind of cool. So things like that.
What about
that? I have Gordon Freeman glasses.
What about that sweet Conan O'Brien crossover?
Yeah, he gave me he lives at the cosplayer's house. And I got an otter cosplay mask or helmet or head, and basically when I put it on, it allows me to move through water better. So
nice.
That's what that does.
That's all right.
But anyway, the game's really cool, and I think the story is. I think the story is good. If you go through take the time to read all the backstory and all the data about what all this stuff means, it's actually pretty interesting and kind of in depth, and the stuff that they're trying to do, and some of the characters and some of the stories of some of the characters are pretty insane and pretty cool, kind of tear jerking in some cases. And I'm having a fantastic time playing the game. And again, I think I said it last podcast, but I haven't been bored at all playing Death Stranding, and I've been playing for 30 hours, and I just want to keep playing it more. And it's just a unique game that I have never experienced anything like it. And it's fantastic. It's great.
Yeah. I think you hit on a really important idea, which is that the game isn't really boring. Like, even though you start out and the game is kind of about walking, I don't say that's any more tedious than, most other games that kind of start you out, like you have to walk before you get your horse or something like that. I mean, it's
all games have a kind of loop, that
right.
If you look at it, like if you really like sort of squint and concentrate on it, you can be like, yeah, this is repetitive and tedious, but it's all about the atmosphere and everything else, right?
And then eventually
and
the
Death Stranding
reward
is
that you
definitely
get.
that. I mean, it's you can see the loop. It's like, hey, go to this place, add them to the network, right? You're building this network across the United States. Add them to the network, and like, oh, by the way, there's these other dudes that live around here.
Yeah.
Go add them too, and then make your way to the next area, and then kind of do the same thing.
That's
so,
right.
But again, it's not so much. The thing is, you're not doing the exact same thing because the traversal's different. The environment's different, the weapons that you have, or the different things that you like, the gravity gloves that I just barely got, like they're freaking awesome. Like, so it kind of just changes the way that the game plays, which makes it unique despite basically doing the same thing over and over again, which is fine. And then the story is just cool, and so I'm just kind of mainlining the story. I'm not going out of my way to pick up side content or make all these side deliveries and things like that you can do, which would then just add more story to the game through these characters, like little side content. I'm just kind of mainlining the story because I'm interested to see kind of where it ends out. The voice acting and the cast in the game is fantastic. Norman Reedus is great. Troy Baker plays the big bad guy Higgs, and whenever you see him, like, he does a phenomenal job. He's been in several cutscenes, which is really,
he was
really
really
cool.
good in Metal Gear Solid 5 as what's his face? Ocelot.
He was Ocelot. Yeah. And he's really good in this game too. So and the other characters are voice actors that I kind of recognize the faces because it's all modeled, right? I don't know who they are. I kind of recognize them, but I couldn't pick them out of a
Shalashaska.
yeah. Anyway, Death Stranding is awesome. It's on sale on Epic right now, I think for like $23. So
that's not
pick it
bad.
up if you want to play it. If they had like their $10 off coupon that they do sometimes, like, I would probably
for $10 or $12 or whatever. Yeah,
it'd be like $13 for Death Stranding. Like, hell yeah, that's super worth it.
Especially if it's on GeForce Now, you can play it anywhere. Play it on your phone.
Yeah,
That's
If
right.
you had GeForce Now, which I don't.
I
On
do.
purpose.
Make a delivery on your phone.
That's right.
Anyway, that's it. Death Stranding for me, boys. Sorry.
Very good.
Sorry.
Well, I'll jump in real quick because I think Jeremy will probably have a little bit more to say on his game. But I just wanted to give a quick update on Morrowind. That's the only game that I've really wanted to play lately. I know I spoke about it a couple of weeks ago, compare and contrast mode with
Skyrim.
Kingdom Come.
Or yeah, that's right, Deliverance.
And honestly, in the Mind Space Wars, it was Morrowind that won out and called me back. And so I've been playing through that, doing the like the role play route, basically. Like a lot of times in one of these Elder Scrolls games, you just go around. There'll be like quests all over the place, just dropping out of windows and out of people's pockets and everything. And you're just picking up all the quests, right? And then you have a list like a mile long of things, and then you start basically like prioritizing it in terms of like, well, what's the closest quest I can go and do, right? No, I'm not really doing that. I'm sort of eschewing that whole thing, and instead of I'm saying that the life of a Imperial legionary is the life for me, right? So I went and I'm getting my orders and doing my things, and then reporting back to my I guess he's called like the I don't know, the general of the local fort or whatever. It was like Fort Darius was the name, or no, that guy's name was Darius, and it was like I guess it was also Fort Darius. Anyway, I was doing stuff for him, And then I got sufficiently advanced that he was like, "Oh, I don't have any more things for you right now. Go and check one of the other big forts on the island." And so one of them happens to be very close to the city of Balmora, which is an earlier city I was at. So I just headed back down there and went back over to that fort. And I'm gonna start doing some quests in that area next and see where the whole thing takes me, right? Like, but I'm not gonna do that whole thing where it's like, you become the best of the thieves, and then you're also the boss of the Mages Guild. Oh, but then you're also the leader of the freelance.
You're gonna actually role play a
warriors.
character that you want
Exactly. Yeah, like one coherent career.
Yeah, like a
sort of
credible
start
character.
to zenith of the career. And in fact, like, if I stick this out, like probably what I'll do, because I've never actually done the core quest of Morrowind. I've diddled around with it here and there, but I've never actually done the full thing to its completion. So that would be my I don't know, I guess game plan at the moment. But yeah, just having good fun with that. It's combat wise, it's like janky, but then like so is Skyrim, so it's like it's not that much worse really. And the other qualities of an Elder Scrolls game are all there, like in spades, and in some respects it's even better than Oblivion, because if you remember playing Oblivion, like especially walking around the Imperial City, you'd have loading screens between every what's an outdoor but enclosed section of the city. Morrowind, it doesn't seem like it ever has a loading screen except for when you go into an interior area and then out again,
Huh.
And then of course it's like a 20-year-old game running on an SSD, so it's like you don't see the loading screens.
Yeah.
But yeah, good fun.
I fired up Oblivion I think we mentioned it on the podcast, and I fired it up on xCloud the other day, and so it's the Xbox 360 version, or Xbox, yeah, it was the 360 game,
Probably
right?
360
launch
version,
window,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And dude, that game it felt cool. It felt. I mean, I don't get that feeling from Skyrim anymore. Okay, like I'm done with Skyrim, but going back to Oblivion, which I never actually finished all the way, like it felt cool, and I never actually played Morrowind, so I don't know. I that kind of game, it just felt cool. I don't know. I don't know why and or how. It's to your point. It's like, okay, I'm just gonna go here and there's a cave. Gonna go in that cave. Like it makes me really excited for
whatever's next.
Yeah, whatever's next for Elder Scrolls, man. Like I am all about it, and I know that a lot of people talk about. I've heard other podcasts and other people online talking about Elder Scrolls Online, which I've played a lot, and how like, hey, this is the next Elder Scrolls game. It's as good as Elder Scrolls Skyrim, but it just doesn't feel the same.
It feels like an MMO. It
feels like an MMO, and it's not even because there's more people on there and there's other players in the world. It's just framed differently. Yeah. It's not like as open-ended. It's almost like you don't need. Like I would be interested in and I don't know if this is even possible, but some sort of a hardcore RPG Elder Scrolls-like experience that just didn't have quests. Like, how would that be? And you just had to discover stuff? Like, oh, yeah. And you just do it by talking to people, and you don't just have, like, this...
Yeah.
Like, so it's truly, like, a sandbox. It has a narrative. It has
like
stuff
real
to follow
survival
and do.
mode.
But
maybe
it's
that's
more...
what Elden Ring will turn out to be, because if you think about it, the Souls games, they don't have quests, but then they, like, in some respects, they kind of do. Like, there can be, like, one of those where you like get the thing and bring it over to the bird's nest and then trade it for something else or whatever. You could consider that a quest, or the like I'm using the smith with the special materials to upgrade my sword. That could
like you said, like you get that huge quest list in Morrowind, and you're like, God, I don't want to do all this. Like, I just want to go do a thing and explore the world and be a thief or whatever, like and maybe I think it's 100% possible just to play that way, right? Like, you could just do it and
you can
and not worry about.
It helps to have
list.
Constraints to sort of.
I think the general gaming population would not be with you on that.
I understand that. I'm just saying that as a cool experiment, like how.
No, I agree. Like,
it'd be cool. It would be cool. It would be interesting to see
what the man to do it for us, Hideo Kojima. It's whatever his next thing is going to be.
I would totally play his Elder Scroll game.
Dude.
That would
Some
rule.
fantasy game by Hideo Kojima. That'd be amazing.
Hey, listen, I want to tell you something, though. My favorite thing about Oblivion has nothing to do with the game, but is rather... I think I talked about this on the Discord, but I don't think I've ever talked about it on the podcast. But that Whacked Out Productions thing where they take the At Home with English and they change everybody into Oblivion dialogue. I will watch that thing for hours. I love it. I will watch repeats of it. I'll just like turn it on and just like zone out while this guy like speaks very deliberately about, you know, mundane things, while the Oblivion dialogue, you know, text and music and all that. Oh, it's so good. It's real good.
I think that they determined that that was some sort of a like teaching video for like different languages.
English is second language,
like that.
Yep.
Yeah,
and they actually credit him. I'm just gonna pop the link to that right in our chat there. If one of our YouTube subscribers watching us live, there's some good content for you to go and check out instead of this podcast. All right. Well, I've been playing a game this week, new-ish game. I've been threatening to talk about it for a little while, and this week it has come to pass that I have been playing Humankind on PC. This is I guess you'd call it the Civ-alike endeavor from the Endless Legend studio Amplitude. Is it Amplitude Studios? Amplitude Entertainment? Something like that?
Yeah, I just know them as
Amplitude. They're just Amplitude. As distinct from Frequency, they're Amplitude.
Amplitude Studios.
Amplitude Studios sounds right. So these guys are pretty well known, I think, and well respected for taking the 4X genre of grand strategy games and kind of, I don't know about upending it necessarily, but kind of like twisting it a little bit and making it as something a little different for their endless series of games, Endless Space, Endless Legend. Yeah, just doing a lot of different things like asymmetric factions, narrative-based things, doing some interesting stuff with economy and combat and all sorts of things. So this is their effort to bring things to a little bit more terrestrial level. The advertisements for this, I'm going to be honest, were probably a little bit ambitious or sort of communicated something that may have been a little bit more than what this game turned out to be. Essentially, it follows the standard Civ formula. You begin in sort of prehistory, and you have a hunter-gatherer tribe, which is kind of interesting. In the previous games, you would always, in the Civilization games, you would start out with like a settler, and you would just kind of wander around and find a place to put it.
Right, and you want to do that soon because you want to get your city started.
Right, because everyone else is cheating. They are absolutely cheating. The computer players are doing stuff that you just can't. But there's actually sort of a what would you call it? Like a pre-agrarian mode where you actually play as this sort of hunter-gatherer unit. And okay, so one of the things about Humankind is that in the Endless games, there's sort of this idea of influence, I guess, that kind of comes up. Or there are these other currencies that kind of contribute to things a little bit differently. In Humankind, influence is that thing. And so as you start with your little hunter-gatherer unit, you discover foraging lands, or you discover nuts and berries or something like that. And you actually sort of build up in kind of this hunter-gatherer way. You might encounter enemy units that are just like elk or something like that. And you sort of play out this sort of interesting... I almost wish they had kind of done a little bit more with it, because it only lasts for a few turns, but it's just kind of interesting to have this pre-civilization unit that you can... And, you might even get a couple of them, and, you have a couple little tribes that you can kind of move around. And eventually those will form kind of standard cities. And at that point, the novelty kind of flattens out a little bit. There are a few things that Humankind does that are kind of interesting. One of which is that it still maintains the Firaxis idea of eras, or I guess it's not just Firaxis that does it. You see it in Age of Empires and stuff like that, where you go from the classical era to the Victorian era to the industrial era to whatever. And in the advertisements for Humankind, they sort of showed how you could really like mix and match and customize your own culture out of different bits and pieces. And what that actually looks like in the game is that every era, which you sort of build up a certain amount of influence, and then you have the opportunity to buy into an era. And when you do that, including that first time with your hunter-gatherer tribe, you choose from a list of available civilizations. So you might choose the Assyrians or the Greeks or
Oh,
like
and yeah,
whatever.
so you can like swap from civilization to civilization as you go
Correct.
along.
That's right.
Or do you just bring along like traits from that era, from that
I
civilization?
wish that was what it was. Like if you actually were sort of like mutating or like melding things together, that would actually be really interesting. But it's actually more
That's
kind
what I
of
thought it was doing.
that's what I thought it was doing too. And in a way, you sort of
Well,
do
that's what would
carry
make
over.
more sense. Like, you wouldn't think it would do
Right.
it the way it is doing it.
Yeah, which is what it is doing is it's essentially swapping out your
Well,
civilization
that's what
with
Civ does
something
with like
else.
governments and stuff like that.
Kind
right?
of,
Like,
except with
oh,
this,
now we're democracy.
it's a little more jarring though, because at least then it's like, oh, my Chinese
The
civilization went
feeling.
from right. You'd be like, oh, well, we were dictators, but now we're a republic or something like that. But at least we have the continuity. Here in this, it's like I was the Assyrians, but now I'm like the
Iroquois
Indians, and then
or
yeah,
whatever.
exactly, or
Yeah.
now I'm the Americans or
Yeah.
whatever. And it kind of reskins your whole civilization, which it's kind of neat. And every, I mean, I don't know if it's neat, but every civilization has its own unique traits and strengths and weaknesses. So it does allow you some flexibility if you're finding yourself in a tough spot where your current civilization has kind of run its course, or you're running into, let's say you're running into people who are doing a lot more politics, or who are doing a lot more military, for example. That's probably an easy one to figure out. Then you can say, oh, you know what? Now that I've classed up, or whatever it is, I'm going to switch to a civilization that has, like hardcore, a lot more military opportunities. So it does give you the opportunity to change course a little bit in the middle of the game, but it's just kind of jarring. Like you're all of a sudden like, where did all these Mongolian feather dresses come from and stuff? Like, why are we all of a sudden? You do retain some of the special units. So like I said, every civilization has its own special units and buildings that it also makes. But like LeGrand, you were talking about in your Death Stranding experience, you eventually kind of level up past those. Those old buildings and units just kind of obsolete themselves as you go. So you don't really carry on.
Do they upgrade
those
themselves as
traits.
they go, like Civ does?
Not really. I mean, it's not something that I've noticed you would have any reason to really.
So you're
really
constantly
carry
building
on.
new units for every age that you go through?
Kind of. I mean, it's not.
Just like real history.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But I mean, it's not like suddenly they become obsolete. It's just like they become a
Well,
little
in
less
Civ, you build a
effective.
military, and the military just gets better
Just
as you get more
reskins or
technology.
something,
Like,
yeah.
it's not like you're building units.
Well,
You are, but you're not.
Here's one thing that I think is more interesting than that. There are a couple of things that Amplitude has done that are actually kind of novel ideas. One of them is, and this is a complaint that I've personally had. I know that Firaxis has really been trying to change the way civilization works, because it's always like military or some combination of that. And I know in
Nope,
Civ,
I've never done military in Civ.
well, that is sort of the default thing that's sort of easiest to understand, is build units and kill the other units. Stuff like
Yeah.
influence or religion is a
I've
little
never
harder
done
to
it.
grasp.
I find it harder.
Well,
It takes longer.
Here's what they've done here. So Amplitude apparently also thinks that it's something that kind of needs to be mitigated a little bit, because they do have this sort of rubber banding system when it comes to military stuff. Politics and military work a little bit differently. Military in particular, where you are beholden to sort of a populace attitude about war. So if you just declare war out of nowhere, you can do it, but your enemy will get this like military will to fight. And the name of the stat is escaping me right at the moment.
Casus
But
belli.
it's something like I guess it's just will to fight is really what it represents. And if you kind of arbitrarily militate against someone else, they will get like really high military influence. You will start relatively lower. Your population is going to be like, "What's up, man? You're dragging us into an unholy war," or something like that. And you basically have to contend with that. If you
Right.
if you drop below, and every turn you are in this military combat, if you're not winning victories or whatever, you will find yourself kind
The
of
support.
deflating. Yeah, exactly. Until at some
It's like
point,
the dreaded happiness stat from like Civ 5.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Or so that actually brings up this other idea, which is limiting factors on your civilization itself. So one of the things that really bothered me about Endless Space 2 in particular, is that they kind of wanted to limit the amount of expansion that you could have in your various solar systems and planets. So there's some like arbitrary points, and I've looked this up, and I'm pretty sure this is right. Some arbitrary point at which your culture's happiness just tanks, and you just cannot maintain, like for some arbitrary reason your empire is too big, and so your people get unhappy, and it just stops you in your tracks from building more
Yeah.
than some number of things.
Not enough food or something like that.
Not even
maybe?
that. Like there's no. It's just
No reason,
It's like a
just it does
switch
it?
kicks in. Yeah, and it's really frustrating because I'm like I'm going to
Diminishing
expand everywhere.
returns.
Yeah, it's maybe you could come up with some reason for it, but it's basically a mechanic that says, okay, once you hit 20 planets, like that's it. Like you are not you are actively disincentivized from building more
Yeah.
colonies. And the same thing is sort of true here, where you end up with individual cities that become harder to manage. Your influence is harder to keep up the more civilizations that you get, and it just kind of smacks of that same thing. And I don't know that I really care for that. I haven't played that through to a natural conclusion yet. I haven't noticed it, really doing anything.
Have you
like
finished
that.
the whole game of this?
I have not, no, but I can't think of the last time. And the thing is, I don't know the last time I actually finished a 4X session, because usually it's like
Oh man.
turn 300 and I'm like, okay, I'm done, I win. Like,
That's how I was with
I
my
declare
last
victory.
Civ 6 game. Civ 6 is the latest, right?
Yeah,
Seems like this is the latest.
Yeah, I got
yeah.
to the point where like, okay, I could either wait 40 more turns and get this scientific victory, or I
or
could just stop.
declare that I've won. Yeah, this does give you a few things. Like it'll actually keep track of your achievements. It'll do a combination of things to get victory points. So I think the end game they've kind of tried to. That is one thing about 4X games that I sort of wish. Like it's fun to play it, but eventually you get to a point where you're like, okay, we need to call this. So
Yeah, they need to end faster.
yeah, but I don't know. But then still, like it's fun for me until I get to a certain point, and I could not tell you mechanically at what point the the worm starts to turn, but I know it. I just feel it, and I just wish that the game would clue into that and be like, okay, we're gonna hurry this up now. I guess generally humankind, even the military fighting isn't really that much different than Civ. There are a lot of things where it's not as much a departure from civilization as maybe we were led to believe or
Well,
would have expected.
civilization
from
is
it.
a pretty decent starting point for a game. So
It is. It is.
more like refinements is probably what that formula needs.
Yeah, and it does inject a little bit of those other endless games into it. So there is a lot more narrative stuff. I mean, they'll still have missions that pop up, and there, for example, one of the
A
early
much
things.
more attractive UI.
Yeah, it looks a lot better. Although
It does look nice. I'm looking at it.
they
It's
do a
pretty.
thing though that's kind of weird, and I've seen other people complain about this, where if you roll the mouse wheel out, the map they kind of do this thing where at different levels of zooming out, the map changes to give you different kinds of information, and I don't know that they've.
Abstraction.
Yeah, but it doesn't really work exactly because the information that they show you, like I just find not to be that helpful. So I just kind of tend to play like really close up because the maps that are out, just I don't, for some reason it's just not.
Maybe it's just a
helping
way to
that much.
quickly move elsewhere.
It could be that too, but it just kind of bothers me that it's like there's a bunch of stuff and I just kind of wish it would.
Yeah, I'm watching this dude play, and he's using the zoom out to like move over quickly to other.
Yeah,
areas
and
of
it
the
doesn't
map.
seem like that's like a really inefficient way to do it. Like I wish that they would have. I know there are games that'll do it, like sort of change the amount of information, or you're looking tactically, and then you're looking strategically, and then you're looking globally. There are ways to do that. I guess just in general, I would say that humankind is maybe a little bit less than I maybe expected. I sort of expected something that was going to be maybe like endless space or endless legend style stuff, like something that really just kind of twists something around sideways.
Because I'm curious because this game and Endless Legend share a lot of the same basic nuts and bolts. I wonder if this is like, does this mean we're not going to see Endless Legend 2 for some
I
time?
don't know. I really would like an Endless Legend too.
Yeah.
I mean, I tell you what, the asymmetrical factions just go a long way. I don't feel the way about humankind the way that I do about some of the endless games, where it's like, these guys fight by extending their tentacles across the universe, and these guys gain territory by like
Those factions
warping.
are so cool.
They're way out there, and I guess, like I said, when you pull it back into planet Earth, and it's like, well, you've got the
Assyrians.
Mayans, and you've got the
Yeah.
exactly, you've got the like Persia, whatever. There's just you can't have a lot of that
They
crazy
don't
stuff.
They don't have a million clones of one guy.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
like giant monoliths. that they
Exactly,
worship,
exactly. But the thing that Legrand mentioned is kind of what I had sort of been hoping for, which was that you actually blend stuff together and you take traits from different, and you kind of build your own thing. Like I feel like Amplitude is capable of that, and for whatever reason, I'm assuming they either couldn't make it work or they just weren't setting their sights on that sort of thing.
Maybe that's hard to balance. if that's
I'm
what you say.
sure. I have to believe that there's always a reason, right? But I think ultimately the final product is not as much a departure. If you're already a fan of Civilization, I could see people just sticking with what they're comfortable with. I don't know that there's enough in Humankind to like pull you away. I will say that all of the production value stuff, Grant mentioned, the UI looks really cool. The actual cities, the way that they, I don't want to say terraform, but the way that the cities that you plant and the zones that it works based on these like agriculture zones or industrial zones. The way that they implement themselves onto the different tiles, like if there's a terrain change, they'll build stuff into the side of the cliff. If there's water nearby, it actually looks really cool. And in that sense, if you could take or leave Civ in particular, but you just want to play a 4X game, there's actually a lot here that really is worthwhile. But I think it needed to differentiate itself more from Civilization. And I don't know that it really has. Now, I will say that there are things that still probably... I mean, think about Civ. When it releases, it becomes over months and months like a completely...
This game has just come out, too.
Yes,
so.
exactly. And I've heard that there are mechanics that don't actually work. Like I saw a review from IGN or something kind of complaining about this pollution mechanic in the end game that like doesn't actually work. Like it literally is just detached from anything. And it says, oh, you're generating all this pollution, but it doesn't do anything. So I feel like there are still, for better or worse... some things that will be developed or are missing, and maybe I don't see that there will be a drastic change, and I think ultimately this falls under I would say if I were to summarize this, I think it is a more narratively interesting version of Civilization. Part of the thing about Civilization, though, is that you kind of make your own story as you go. So for some people, maybe that's not as big a draw. But there are enough kind of like interesting little flip-flopping sorts of mechanics, like picking a new civilization every time you class up. Like that actually, even though it's a little bit disappointing that you're not just mixing cultures, it is kind of interesting that you can immediately just change the focus and change the special units for your civilization at any given time. That actually is kind of a neat mechanic.
Well, if anything for this game, at the very least, somebody is challenging for Axis and Civilization, right?
Agreed.
Like they're trying something, they're trying to compete, and that's cool.
And
I think that some people might be tired of Civilization.
Yes.
Like they've done 6 of them, and every game takes 30 hours. Like, like maybe people are wanting something fresh and new, and maybe the UI is, just a little bit.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a little bit of time to get some patches, maybe like one expansion or something, and eventually when it's on sale for half price on a Steam sale next spring or something, that's about when I'm going to jump on it, and I'm looking forward to it.
I think that's fair. And Dale, I think you and I at least both share some sort of brand loyalty, I think, to Amplitude. I mean, they just do really interesting things. I think in this case, they maybe got just a little bit hemmed in by the Civilization style kind of situation, but I think that they will still continue to do some interesting things with it. I don't think it'll be revolutionary. I think it will be incremental, but it is worthwhile, and especially if you've been away from Civilization for a while, I think this is a good one to jump back into. So, Humankind.
It is on Game Pass as well, so
that's correct. Yes, it is.
Even better.
Yep, it sure is. And that's it.
Dale, do you want to take the new releases and stuff?
Yeah, sure. So, new releases. We got one from Arcane this week, Deathloop, which I remember hearing about, but then I didn't really pay any much attention to it. But then now I was like looking at some footage, and I was like, oh, this kind of looks pretty cool. I was thinking it was like a multiplayer only thing, but I guess that's not the case. Is it?
I actually thought this was delayed a lot longer than now. I thought it was coming out. I thought it was like next year or something. So I'm kind of surprised.
No, I knew it was the end of this year. It was originally like what, April or something?
Something.
I think.
Like that.
I thought it got a bigger delay, but I know a lot of people are really looking forward to it.
The video that I'm seeing of it, the little gifs and stuff, like, oh, that looks pretty cool. It kind of looked like a evolution of the sort of stuff they were doing with Dishonored.
Dishonored with guns, more guns, right? Like
with more guns, yeah, which kind of looks cool. Then you've also got a Blood Rain game, which
this game is actually this is Blood Rain Betrayal. It's actually a remaster of a game they made in 2011, and so this one is subtitled Fresh Bytes.
I think that's a bad title.
It's dumb. Yeah, Fresh Bytes sounds dumb. It's a 2D side scroller. I just thought Blood Rain. I mean, Blood Rain.
Yeah.
Blood Rain was the game that when you were in junior high, you would see the advertisements in your gaming magazines. You're like, oh man, my mom will never let me buy that. Like that's
those
what
are some
I remember
leather
from
pants.
Blood Rain. Yeah. Anyway, it's a vampire game, and it actually looks
straight
pretty
out
cool.
of the 90s.
Yeah. It's like a side-scrolling combat game with combos, like I think a Castlevania, but with like a combo
Wasn't
system.
there a Way Forward, like 2D action Blood Rain game that got some?
That
That
does
That could have been
sound
this. I
familiar.
mean, that might be this.
Maybe
actually.
that was this. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a new Life is Strange game, which True Colors. Is,
I haven't
you know,
actually
this one.
finished the first Life is Strange game or really touched the second Life is Strange game, so I'll just.
I have never played a single one of them, and I probably won't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean either. I mean, I've
But I know
heard they're
people
good.
are into them, so I put it
Not
on the
really my
list.
sort of thing, really. NBA 2K22. Speaking of not my sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not.
I did see some pretty hilarious short video clips from this game, though. The State Farm drip. Did you see that?
No.
No.
Oh, was that the? I think I actually saw thumbnails for that. Like, apparently, it was really funny. Like, I guess there's like some weird product placement in the.
Yes, there is. There's some
Yeah.
really awkward. Is it product placement? Is that what they call it?
I guess
I guess so.
sponsorship.
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
Honestly, though, I think that if you crank that up and just like really lean into it, like, do you remember in Final Fantasy 15 they had that cup noodle thing, and they just like went for it. They were not embarrassed at all. So bravo to State Farm. Glad they're doing it.
Sure,
guess.
whatever.
Yeah.
EA basketball games.
Yeah.
WarioWare, Get It Together.
Ooh.
I have no idea what this is.
Genuinely interested in this. It's just.
Is it a new game?
It
or
is a new
release?
WarioWare game. Yeah, it
Yeah.
sure is. Yep. And,
For Switch, I presume.
probably. Yeah.
Indeed.
Wait, does Nintendo have a portable system at this point?
Uh.
I mean, aside from the Switch.
No.
Yeah.
Like,
Switch Lite.
would you say that the DS is alive?
They're
would
not
say
releasing.
no.
They're not releasing software for it.
So Nintendo has one system at this point.
That's correct.
Geniuses they are.
When was the last time Nintendo only had one system?
When the NES came out.
Yeah.
The first one.
Well, anyway, I mean,
Before the Game Boy came out.
This has been a long time in coming, and I think they needed to consolidate their development teams
Yeah, that's
and
true.
tracks for a
Smart.
really long time.
That's true.
So that's good. Okay. Over in I didn't see any rad Switch PC.
They
game
were all
titles.
lame.
They're all kind of lame.
Switch and PC game titles. Yeah.
Not
gonna
funny enough.
They're gonna have to
Nothing
step it
rad
up, I
in there
think.
at all.
But over in the land of like deals and freebies and such, you can get Far Cry 3 free on Ubisoft's own native proprietary launcher. So like the one that you go to them directly. You
What's
can
it
get
even
Far
called
Cry.
at this
Yeah,
point?
Ubisoft
UB
Connect.
Life or
UB Connect, I think, or something.
Connect.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I don't
Probably
know.
have it installed.
I only ever launch it through
Yeah, Ubisoft
Steam.
Connect.
I do the like Russian nesting doll thing with Steam. Because I'll launch my Assassin's Creed game off of Steam, and then it'll go over to Ubisoft Connect or whatever. And then it's like there's like the third layer for this just for Assassin's Creed games, like the Assassin's Creed points stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
That what?
crazy
That's I approve of that. That's very Jeremy-esque.
Oh yeah. Well, it's
Well,
it's
you
all
have to.
automatic. It's
You
it's
gotta
automated.
have to.
Like
That's all
there's
you
not a whole lot of
can do.
monkeying around to do it. It just happens. And over on the Epic Game Store, the free stuff at the moment. First up, there's Neo, which is I thought it was a pretty well received, pretty positively regarded.
They're
kind
just
of
they're just
action-
riding on that Matrix 4 hype, is what they're doing.
It's sort of an actiony take on the Souls series
You're
thing, but it's
probably
also
not wrong.
It's Koei Tecmo. I think it's Team Ninja even. So,
Is it?
I believe it
Ninja?
is. Yeah, but I don't think it's Itagaki. I think he's maybe receded into the background.
He is sipping some martinis with Peter Molyneux and
yeah, and what's his face?
Ken Levine.
Ken Levine.
Levine.
The other free game that's currently up there on the Epic Store is one that I thought looked kind of interesting. It's called Sheltered, and it is apparently like the life in like a fallout shelter, post-apocalyptic scenario sort of thing, and it seems to me like it's kind of like about managing your family's health and mental well-being and stuff, like while you're in a shelter
I mean,
environment,
it
which
looks like Fallout Shelter, which the Fallout.
but without
spin-off game.
the Fallout series gimmicky
right,
crap to it.
right.
So I mean, I thought it looked kind of interesting. So you may want to check that out. And yeah, I'll say that wraps us up for
That'll do
the
it.
games.
All right.
So,
Real good. Well, in our news, as I think we mentioned it last week, the PlayStation Showcase 2021, which is the Sony Direct sort of thing that they do, which actually this one it seemed like they were putting out a little more hype material for this one than maybe they had. They always seem to downplay it, like, oh, no. We're only going to talk about bug snacks or something like that. But this time they did it, and they actually have some pretty interesting stuff going on here. So first off, Knights of the Old Republic is going to be remade on the PlayStation 5 and then also Windows PC, which I think it's probably about time. 15 years, something like that. I think it's,
Man, it has been a long time.
Yeah, that's a very well thought of and well received game, and it is.
I think
interesting.
they kind of missed the crest of the Star Wars wave, though. Although maybe by the time this comes out, maybe there'll be another wave.
I tell you what, though, I was actually just in a comic book shop the other day and just saw all the Star Wars. It just made me tired. Star Wars stuff. It makes me tired.
There's a lot of Star Wars comics going on.
Yeah, just like a lot of Star Wars everything, like books and just all kinds of stuff. Here's something interesting. It's actually being done. EA is not involved in this in any way, shape, or form that I can see.
Well, they lost the exclusive rights to the license.
Yeah, Ubisoft, I think, was supposed to be working on something. Someone else was working on something Star Wars.
So BioWare's not involved either.
Yeah, no. So this is being done by Aspire Media, which...
Well, even if BioWare was involved, BioWare wouldn't be involved. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That team is definitely.
This is old BioWare. This is pre-EA BioWare.
This is the Doctor's BioWare.
Yeah. So it is interesting to kind of consider where Star Wars is at right now as far as that goes, because I would say that Star Wars has sort of lost its chance generally. I mean, Dale, I think you're right. Star Wars came out with maybe 3 games out of all of this, and I mean, it seems like
just the movie cycle as well. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. Like think about the
until...
prequels. Like they had stuff when that first Phantom Menace came out, and they had like an adventure game and pod racing and just all kinds of stuff, and PlayStation 1 brawler fighter kinds of things and just all sorts of stuff. And they just really all of that. And they just
maybe that's okay.
Yeah, maybe actually, kind of, it's okay. I'm sort of.
I mean, you're saying you're tired of Star Wars, and you're also complaining that there's not enough.
Well, I'm not complaining. I'm just observing that this is something that has not really panned out somehow, and maybe it's due to
whatever
EA.
reason, and maybe that's why EA is losing the license because they have not delivered enough or enough quality content.
Right.
For
you know
the
what?
license,
if I could be
Disney.
completely honest and selfish here, I would, I think, prefer the second KOTOR game to have gotten a remaster, because that's one that I've not played.
Well, these aren't remasters. First of all, these are remakes.
Yeah.
Well, whatever.
I mean, it's one. I mean, yeah. Okay, go on. Finish your thoughts. Sorry.
That one is one that is notoriously was hamstrung by
Unfinished.
technical issues.
Yeah.
Unfinished. But that it did finally a few years ago. There was like a fan completion patch that came out that apparently was a very good thing. If anything was going to get dredged up from history, I would have liked to see it happen to that.
I actually think that the fan stuff
that
pulled it out probably is going to ensure that it is never touched again. Actually, because what are they going to do?
I might just go back and play that one.
Yeah,
I think that the interesting thing with this as well is that, I mean, Disney kind of canned like all the third-party Star Wars content and made it not canon for Star Wars stuff. Does that make
who cares about that?
No, part of me really is interested in that, but part of me is just like I'm done with it. But you know what I noticed? I was at here, a little side note. I was at the Cracker Barrel this last weekend, and they had some Baby Yoda coin banks. And they don't use the name Grogu for that. It's always like, the child. Yeah, exactly. Like I think
because it's a spoiler if you know his name.
And Grogu's a dumb name.
And it's a stupid name. Exactly. That's exactly right. Like they can't even get their own canon. They're like disavowing
I like the
their own
Mandalorian.
Stuff.
That's
Mandalorian's
good.
good.
But the Grogu being a stupid name is what makes it fit perfectly with the Star Wars canon.
Yeah.
The Kathleen Kennedy era.
Would it ever grow? If Yoda, like original Yoda, would have been named Grogu, do you think Star Wars would have taken off?
Actually, do you want to know? There's a little bit of trivia in the like the early script treatments. Yoda's name was Minch. Actually,
oh gosh, that would have been horrible as well. Not that Yoda. I mean, Yoda is only cool because
you know it.
Yoda, like
so if
we grew
Yoda
up
had
with
been
Yoda.
Grogu, then what would Yaddle have been?
Grattle.
Grattle.
Also in the PlayStation Showcase, a teaser for Insomniac's Marvel Wolverine, which is pretty interesting. They've done a great job with everything basically ever lately, so good job on them. Spider-Man 2, which...
I'm wondering how they make that. How do they
Wolverine?
Can it be an open world? Can't be open world. It's not going to be the same.
I mean,
It's got to be
Wolverine
different.
can get those stubby legs pumping when he wants to. That dude's like 5'2".
Okay, here's how I would do open world Wolverine. It would just be Assassin's Creed 3, but you take out Connor and you put in Logan.
Yeah, you just do a lot of
All
fast
right.
travel, really.
All right.
That's it. Because like, did you ever read the Wolverine origin graphic novel or whatever? It's basically that exact story. Like it happens in like the same era, but but like a little bit further north in Canada.
Raised in the forests of Canada.
No,
running with the
like
wolves.
he like lives on the estate of like a rich. Well, it's like there's like a rich lord's estate, and there's like a groundskeeper
In
and then
Canada?
like the son of the groundskeeper is like a feral kid, and then there's like the son of the rich lord is like a weak kid, and one of those grows up to be Sabretooth, and one grows up to be Logan.
Well, okay, so that might... in this, all we have for this is a teaser. He's sitting there at a bar drinking. You don't even see his face. They don't show his face, so we don't know if it's going to be like the Hugh Jackman or the, what it's going to be. But dude comes up with a knife, and he gets out his claws, and then the thing
whatever it'll be, they're going to like redo it when the PlayStation 6 comes out.
He's going to have a different face. He's going to be younger.
Yeah.
It's going to be, I don't know.
I'm excited for this game just because of the quality of Spider-Man.
Agreed.
Miles Morales.
Unimpeachable. They do awesome work. And then Spider-Man 2, which they're going to bring... it didn't really occur to me this entire time that we didn't have like Venom or any of the, the
cursed suits.
Yeah, exactly. The symbiont type enemies in that. So we basically at this point only have a reveal trailer. Legrand mentioned that there's going to be both Peter Parker and Miles Morales in this one, and it's probably going to be awesome. So look forward to that. We don't have much information. It may come out in 2023 or may not. They did
a lot of cool stuff so this game is going to have Spider-Man and Miles Morales in the same game together, but it's not co-op, so it's not multiplayer. But they did a lot of cool stuff in Spider-Man Miles Morales where they had you fighting alongside another character and would tie in combos and finishing moves with those other characters, which was pretty fun. So I'm curious. I mean, Miles Morales was like the perfect length game as a follow-up to Spider-Man,
like a 0.5.
But I'm curious to see what they could do for another full-featured $70 at this point game that is going to make it awesome.
That would
and
move
not
it
just
forward.
More of the same thing.
Yeah, I agree, but I believe they can do it too. So
I also believe that and hope that they can do that, and hope that adding Venom doesn't make I'm excited. Whenever I think of Venom, I think of Spider-Man 3, and I think of the train wreck.
I hope they make it.
That's all I can think about.
I hope it follows plot point by plot point. I want that.
Well, the Venom movie was actually pretty okay.
Oh, I didn't see that. Who's in that? What's his name?
Bane.
Tom Hardy.
Yeah, Tom Hardy. That's
yeah.
right. I was gonna say
Bane. That's the first thing I went to was Bane.
I was thinking
Bane is Venom.
I was thinking Inception.
Mad Max is Bane is Venom.
He's such a weird actor. Tom Hardy's such a weird guy.
He's a chameleon, that guy. God of War Ragnarok is, I guess we've seen a little more information for that. They're still mostly doing teasing. I don't think we've got much more than just kind of a little bit of a sizzle trailer for that. Just some
got Fat Thor.
Kratos things. Yeah, Thor. I've been thinking a lot about going back to God of War lately, and maybe I'll try and play it again before this one comes out.
I do not want to play it again, but I'm excited to play this one.
Yeah, I'm real excited. You know what I think about a lot is the ending of that God of War game, which was spectacular. It was awesome. I hope everybody gets to play it. Don't spoil yourself. Suffer through it like I did.
It's free if you have PlayStation Plus.
There's no excuse not to. There's no excuse.
And a PlayStation 5.
And Kratos' dad is so hot and beardy. GTA 5, GTA Online, which we expect on current-gen consoles, PlayStation 5 and such, are being delayed into March. Uncharted games are going to be remastered and put onto PlayStation 5 and PC. We have a teaser, I guess, for Gran Turismo, which is pretty good considering that Gran Turismo is perennially delayed and you just hear about it way too early. In this case, they are saying that it's going to be coming out a mere 6 months from now, in March of 2022.
Yeah, these days,
So,
Gran Turismo is like a once every other generation sort of
yeah,
game.
sort of.
Right.
I still have hopes for that. Forza has done a really good job, really eating Gran Turismo's lunch, I think. But
I've never played a mainline Forza. It's only been Forza Horizon I've played.
Oh, yeah.
Man, Forza 2 was so good.
Forza, all those games are really good.
Mm-hmm.
We have
Well,
also
new Forza Horizon's coming out this fall, I believe, on Game Pass even.
Yeah, that's right. We have a sort of action adventure game a la, like, I don't know, it kind of looks like Bayonetta, called Project Eve, and it's basically a lady in tight pants with
That's the
hair.
edgiest name ever.
Project Eve. I swear we've already had some games called Project Eve by now.
Surely we have.
This is like a remake of some kind, probably. We also have. Well, it's like I'm just kind of joking about that. But we also have here Chia, Tchia, which looks to be an idyllic, I don't know, island friendship sort of game, maybe with light magic elements to it, and maybe some wind leaf things. I think we've seen
Maybe
this
some
before.
survival elements.
Something like that. So anyway, lots of stuff there to get hyped for and look forward to in months to come. But that was probably the biggest, I don't know, video gamey news that we had this week. We also have here the maybe culmination question mark of the Epic versus Apple trial. And I have seen some really opposing takes on this. So I think we're going to have to sort this out for everybody. Epic versus Apple, basically, I guess let's skip straight to it. Everybody got in trouble. Apple got in trouble, and they said, you guys need to allow third parties. So basically what Epic was doing was linking to their own payment system. Apple said, no, this is a closed system. You cannot do that. The court begged to differ and said, no, you need to allow third parties to be able to link to third-party payment options. Epic, on the other hand, was slapped on the wrist. As Legrand pointed out over and over again, they were in breach of essentially their terms of service with Apple, so they were fined some amount of money, which I'm sure they're happy to
$3 million.
pay. Yeah, something like that, which, I don't know, they probably already cut the check. Right,
what's $3 million to Epic at this point?
Yeah, exactly. And I think the thing that was kind of striking to me, because I thought that was a pretty good get for Epic, because at least they got that. But the court said that Epic did not actually state the case, not that it doesn't exist, but that Epic didn't state the case that Apple is an unhealthy monopoly, basically, that they are not taking advantage of a monopolistic.
I heard a quote
situation
somewhere, and I can't remember if it was in this article, but something where they said, "Oh, it is in this article." We have an article on PC Gamer we're looking at, but they said success is not illegal. is a key quote on there. It's like, and this was kind of my point at the whole. This is always my point with this whole argument, is that Apple built a rad platform that a lot of people use, and they're very successful with it, and why are they being punished for running it the way they want to run it? And that's always been my case. But anyway,
so this does, I mean, it's just weird though, because I didn't see this PC take on it, but I've seen some that are like, Epic does it, because you could look at it the other way and say this is Epic wins big, which I would say Epic wins medium. Maybe in this, I mean, they got the kind of the thing that they wanted, which was to allow this.
I would say a crack appears in Apple's garden wall.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I don't think that it really leans heavily one way or the other.
I will tell you, as an Apple user, there's no reason for me to not use Apple's in-game built into I'll tie it all to the Apple Store. My credit card's all there. Like, why would I link off?
Like if you wanted to,
right? And that actually, I think you hit on something which is
in general. I don't think it's just so easy just to double tap my button and I pay for it.
Absolutely,
yeah,
I agree.
And Epic would suggest that that's fine. They're probably totally okay with that. They would just like to be able to, for whatever purposes they have, to be able to get their own payment system for the product that they feel like they are.
I think the underhanded part, and probably the part that pissed Apple off more than anything, was the fact that they were charging less if you went through Epic.
Yeah.
For the same thing, if you recall.
Yeah.
That's probably what made them mad.
If they won't charge.
I actually doubt that. I think that they actually were just mad that somebody was trying to circumvent their stuff to begin with.
I think both. I mean, circumvent plus give a discount to circumvent, like,
which
go ahead. Like Epic would offer bonus 1,000 V-Bucks if you buy our $100
But that's the
package
thing.
versus the
If
Apple
if you
$100
have
package.
if you have an open market system, you can do either thing. You can discount
Yeah.
something, or you can add incentives to it, which was not really possible before. So,
Exactly.
I think in a sense, I would say that of these, maybe if Apple shrugs I don't know. Here's the thing, because I think Epic is probably happy with this. I think Tim Sweeney didn't get everything that he wanted. I think he would love to have had this be a blowout that, oh yeah, Apple's a monopoly, but they did not get that. But I think that he's probably happy aiming for something that high, but just getting this. Apple, on the other hand, I'm not really sure what they would think about this. Like, because they could say, yeah, whatever, but it was part of their terms of service not to do that. I think they would rather not allow this if they don't have a choice.
No, it seems to me like they both sort of lost in a certain respect,
Yeah.
There's a funny note in here in the bottom of this article. It says in the ruling, the ruling says, although Epic Games claims that it would not have a viable way of monetizing Fortnite without being able to sell in-app content, the record shows it monetizes Fortnite in 9 other ways. So I mean that's the thing is like
The other thing that was really interesting about this was all like the fallout that came along with it. Like everybody was involved in this. Like everybody's laundry got aired out, and I don't think there will really.
Like Google got pulled in.
Yeah,
Steam
everybody.
got pulled
PlayStation,
in.
Sony was like, clearly, like saying, oh well, we won't allow you to do. So I don't know that there's going to be any real. And the public is going to have a super short, stupid memory on it, and it probably doesn't affect us that much anyway. So it'll be interesting to see if there's any lasting component to this.
I play Fortnite every day, Jeremy, and I am irate.
Now, you actually bring up one point, which is that there is a pretty good chance that Apple will not allow Fortnite to be back on the Apple Store. Now, that doesn't really affect any of us, but that is kind of interesting. The other thing is that I'll be interesting to see is for third-party app developers of all kinds, all the way down to the lowest little guy. Now they can have access to that, so there may also be some impact that goes all the way down to individual app developers there as well. That'll be interesting to see also. So we probably won't have much more coverage on that on this podcast, but that's okay.
Check out our legal podcast.
Yeah,
for more.
the legal boxers is our
Legal pads.
legal. And that's it for the big news that we've got. We are going to close out the show with our news speedruns. Start the music. There we go. I like that.
Oh, this first one we already talked about.
Yeah, that's okay. But we'll say it
My
again.
bad.
Grand Theft Auto is delayed, so oh well.
That's funny because they announced that pretty early on with the PlayStation 5. Like, hey guys, we're bringing the GTA 5.
Which is the first three for
the fact that it's not there already. Like,
know.
maybe they're actually adding like ray tracing and weird stuff to. Who knows?
I don't know. I mean, theoretically, I think I can play my PS4 digital version now on the PS5 just without all the. It'll have like super great load times, so it's like.
Alan Wake Remastered is coming this fall. It's cool. It's coming to PC, Xbox, and also first time on PlayStation.
That's interesting. That is interesting.
That is.
Alan Wake Remastered also will get rid of all of the weird product placement, which we were talking about a little bit earlier. It's not quite up to the level of Cup Noodle, but I remember the batteries.
Energizer batteries
the
everywhere.
batteries were
Verizon.
there. Yeah. So, which is a shame. I mean, what
all
we
the
really
TVs had Verizon logos on them.
What
like
we really need a State Farm minigame in Alan Wake. I think that's what we really need.
Twitch is suing some of the people that they have been doing something called hate raiding, which is, I guess, sending a bunch of harassing sort of Twitch stream follower. What do you call those people? Followers?
Subscribers?
Yeah.
Followers.
Subscribers, followers, viewers, I guess, over into the chat of another stream and, causing a ruckus. So,
I sort of imagine them like spray painting their mouth with chrome and
yeah.
like
I'm
jumping
not quite
over on
sure.
some like flaming stick as they.
So like I maybe I don't understand, but like Twitch, this is their platform. Can't they just hit a button and block all those people forever?
Clearly not. I don't know.
Why don't they?
I mean, because why do that when you can sue them and get on the Game Bytes Show podcast?
Yeah, free publicity. For
That's
Twitch.
right.
Players are using Microsoft Flight Simulator to fly through Hurricane Ida in real time because that game pulls in like real time weather from satellites and stuff.
You know, I gotta
so-
admit, I don't know how I feel about this when there are people like drowning and their homes are being destroyed, and I'm like,
No, these guys are
"Whee!"
It's
in
scientific.
Hurricane
It's
Ida.
cool. It's not like they're
scientific. No, it is. It is. I'm
Scientific.
Just, you just got to think about like when
Interesting.
you fly over Lake Pontchartrain or something, and you're like, yeah, I don't know. It just
Don't
strikes me
you
as
remember
weird.
in like that movie Twister with what's his name,
Oh,
where
Bill-
they would put
Bill-
up those little balls, and it would
Yeah.
map the tornadoes?
Bill Paxton or whatever, or
Yeah, Bill Paxton. That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah, that was
Anyway.
a good little movie. Ubisoft has appointed a new CCO, which I guess is their chief caring officer.
Communications?
Oh, yes, maybe that's. I did not look ahead at this. Anyway, a new C-level executive in wake of some of the concerns that have been expressed about abuse of power in that company.
Well, that's good, I guess. Diablo 2 Resurrected has cross progression, so you can play that on any of your platforms and keep your stuff going.
That's cool. That's
That's cool.
positive. Yeah.
It's chief commercial officer.
Commercial officer.
Commercial.
So
There you
all
go.
of your product placement now is going to be handled by a new,
That's right.
culturally sensitive person.
That's right. Assassin's Creed product placement's the best.
Nice.
Oreo is now selling limited edition Pokemon cookies, and from what I understand, there's certain
They taste just
they're
like
like
all
only
the other
dropping like
Oreos.
some of the Oreos are really rare to find these Pokemon.
Really?
cookies.
Is that true?
That's
you
what I
know you're
heard.
gonna have people like putting these in a baggie and selling them on eBay 10 years from now. And
I bet
some
they're already
schmuck is
there.
gonna. Oh, it's awful. GameStop is seeing a 25% increase in sales. What is going on here? Dogs and cats living together. The world is turned upside down.
They brought that
here.
guy from that pet store, the online pet store, to be their CEO or whatever.
Yeah,
He's
I
like
guess
kicking
so.
ass apparently.
You know, whatever happened to all of that trade, that short trading stuff? Is
The
that still
meme
going
stock
on?
stuff?
Yeah. Is that still happening?
Those dudes are all still hodling.
They're just
that's for
like,
sure.
yeah, I guess they're just like getting all the more. Great, good for them. That's great.
Well, sad to say that the Warhammer 40,000 Eternal Crusade video game is being sundowned. I guess all the wars have been fought, you guys.
So much for the Eternal Crusade, right? Right?
Well, you know,
Yeah.
they had so many Space Marines, they were able to finally get the job done.
Guess they were. And folks, we have finally gotten the job done here on Your Game Bytes Show podcast. I want to thank you for being with us through our weekly romp through games that we've played, news, new releases, and all kinds of good and edifying video game stuff. If you have any thoughts about anything that we have discussed or described here on the show, we want to let you know that you can reach out to us on social media. You can find us collectively at Game Bytes Show on Twitter. You can also reach out to us individually. I am at Jeremy_Lamont.
You can find me at Legrand.
And I am at Count Dumbledore.
Find our fourth man, Jared Red-Eye Dunn, at RED_I on Twitter. You can also find us over at youtube.com/GameByteShow, where you can watch us live every week as we do our thing. You can get those secret special links to Oblivion-themed dialogue jokes that run 24 hours a day. That's probably the best thing you can get from us there. You can also comment to us. We'll talk to you while we're on the show. Why not? You can also find us over at youtube.com/GameByteShow. Find a link there to our Discord server, as well as a link to all of the back catalog of our podcasts. Share that podcast feed with your friends. Let them know that the best thing in video games right
Smash
now.
that like button.
That's right. So hit subscribe and
Ring
unbox
the
us.
bell.
The bell, all of that. But come join us on Discord, because there we are on any given day, just like chit-chatting away and talking about what we're doing, and it's usually pretty boring. But sometimes there's some good memes, though. And that's also where you'll find all of the like hour-to-hour freebies as we come across them. So before they expire, you can come join us there as well. And folks, that is going to do it for this episode of Your Game Bytes Show podcast. I want to thank you again for being here with us. We'll be back next week to do all of this all over again, but better and cooler and a little bit older, a little grayer, but smoldering.
More
like
wizened.
That's right, wizened and like get that Kratos dad bod going on. Ooh, it's good stuff. Folks, thank you very much for being with us. But until next time, we will see you. Thank you so much, and we will see you next time.
See ya.
Be seeing you.
Boop. Not bad. Not as quick probably as we thought, but I think it turned out all right.
That's all right.
Yeah. See you later on YouTube. Thanks for watching us on the archive. And if you get this message, ping us on Discord. Let us know that you watched it.